Yeah, let's just get started. Let's get started. Let's get started. It's Bullshit for Your Health, the most balanced podcast on the East Coast, which we're back on the East Coast, the West Coast, the world, man. You guys know what it is. We're going to get right fucking into it, man. Today we got a returning voice. Javiante is here with us again. He's been on the podcast before a few years back. Always love to have another brother who is out here being successful, doing great things on the pod to give his expertise as well as his opinions on some of the shit we like to talk about, man. But I mean, did y'all see the, I guess, itinerary list that I gave y'all? The way we've been doing things recently, Jay, is that we just been kind of like trying to keep it not necessarily super strict because sometimes my brain can get like super discombobulated because everything is happening so often. But I guess, well, I have the most energy. I want to start right off the bat with the biggest news of the month, okay? Because the month of July has just been fucking crazy. You guys been paying attention? Y'all seen everything going on? The Epstein shit, the big beautiful bill, or the big bullshit bill, to be honest. There's been a lot of entertainment news that's going on too. You know, I was really hoping Donica would be here because she seemed really excited to talk about Cardi B coming out, bro. But like, where do y'all want to start? What has been on y'all's mind recently? Wait, Jay Beyonce, we can't hear you. Make sure you're not Bluetoothed in somewhere because we just can't hear you. Maybe it's on like the screen or the speaker or something. But either way, what about you, Isaiah? What's been on your mind? Hmm. 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 Wait, Americans or people who were yeah, real quick, real quick, Isaiah. Jay, you might want to try like exiting out on your computer and just trying to like come in on your phone. Just hit the link from your phone. It might work better for you. I'm not sure. But yeah, continue, Isaiah. My bad, bro. Hmm. Yeah, not sure. Yeah, $25,000. So that's the thing, man. So that's the thing. So again, for those of y'all who don't know what Isaiah is talking about, if you didn't listen to last month's episode where we kind of did a pretty big deep dive on the landmark record reconciliation bill that the Trump administration as well as Congress was trying to push through so that they can continue funding the government for the next 10 years or foreseeable future or whatever, was passed this month. And there's been a whole lot of controversy about it. So again, Trump has been calling it his big beautiful bill. So you probably have heard it at some point in some shape or form. But the problem is that this bill is big for one, but it's not beautiful. It's got a lot of pork in it or a lot of riders in it that didn't necessarily make a lot of sense. Not only to people who consider themselves, hey, mute yourself, Isaiah, against each other, but they also was one of those things where, or against Trump, but it confused individuals who consider themselves to be on Trump's same team. For example, before the bill got passed, there was a bunch of different amendments that the House of Republicans put in, and then it was not agreed upon by the Senate. And you saw the House Republicans and Senate Republicans kind of shitting on each other. But at the end of the day, it wasn't to make the bill better. Again, if you're looking at it from the standpoint of individuals who do believe in what the Trump administration is trying to do, it actually made it much worse. So, for example, and again, I kind of want to put this in the perspective of somebody who I guess isn't paying attention as much as possible. Because personally, how I feel is none of this, I guess, foundational or institutional things that Trump and the administration did with this bill was campaigned on. Like, Trump didn't campaign on, like, no taxes on tips. Trump didn't campaign on a $1,000 savings plan for newborns. That he didn't campaign on any of that shit. He campaigned on, and unfortunately, this is where I also have a lot of frustration with the individuals in the comedy space or like the bro podcast space, is that a lot of the things Trump campaigned on, he is doing, like the abject racism, xenophobia, and overt criminalization of brown people, right? This new stop and frisk where they're just going into different communities and picking up people regardless of American citizenship, regardless of green card, regardless of where they're at in that process. They're just rounding up people and then sending them to detention centers. Like, he did campaign on doing that shit. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of crazy because they're doing it in such a roundabout, fucked up way that they're not deporting as many people as the Obama administration or the Biden administration. But neither here nor there. He's doing a lot of the stuff he campaigned on. So I want to say that first and foremost. So when you see people who were really on the side of Trump and were really going with this whole vibe situation, and then now they're saying, well, he's not doing anything he said he was going to do on the campaign trail. That's bullshit. He is doing it. You just weren't, I don't even want to say in the details. You just didn't care. But I digress. Back to this bill, okay? So a lot of the positive things that people who consider themselves to be on the side of Trump have said this bill does came about after we started figuring out all the bullshit within this bill. Mainly, one of the main things that I've been concerned with this bill is the cuts to Medicaid, which is basically, yeah, it's crazy. So one of the main things we saw from this bill that was contentious between the houses, at least we thought, was that they were proposing to cut $700 million from Medicaid, or I think $700 billion over the next 10 years, but like $1 million this year over from the Medicaid program. Again, if you don't know what Medicaid is, it was government funded healthcare, right? And in large part, the idea of Medicaid was that it was supposed to supplement healthcare for individuals who are poor. I don't know of another way to say it. You know what I'm saying? Like, people who have a harder time finding healthcare, whether that's through the fact that they don't have a job, they're in between jobs. I personally know a multitude of people who have had to use Medicaid at some point to get healthcare. All that to say, it is one of the bedrocks, one of the foundations of our government, right? For a long, long time, both Republicans and Democrats knew that if you cut Medicaid, it's basically political suicide. So when this bill was proposed, a lot of different people were kind of like calling their bluff, like they're not going to do this, right? And especially between the houses, Republicans in the Senate and Republicans in the House of Representatives were both kind of playing chicken. Well, they won the game because they actually did cut that shit, bro. So we are now living in a future where I think it's not going to happen in full perpetuity until after 2026 because, again, politics, all that shit, these people in office don't want to face consequences for their actions. But all that to say, they've essentially cut Medicaid. So people are going to start losing health care within the next 4 years. That's insane, bro. I already know personally people who, because of the layoffs that we've been talking about that's been happening this entire year due to Doge, new people who are now entering the unemployment market trying to get healthcare, saying, "Yo, it's hard. I can't navigate the system, right?" And you juxtapose that with people who have gotten in the past saying it didn't used to be this hard. So we're already seeing the ramifications of this situation, you know. But all that but to put that into like a little bit more context of how insidious it is to cut healthcare from, because again, they've estimated, and when I say they, I think it's like the Congressional Business Budget Office has estimated that this is going to rob healthcare from 17 million people around that, right? I think that's right, Isaiah. Yeah, yeah. Facts. Yeah, so again, to give context to like how important Medicaid and Medicare is to the healthcare system, is that a lot of people look at Medicaid, or a lot of people who have believed the propaganda that Medicaid is like a handout, is welfare for people who just want to be lazy, I guess. They don't understand that the whole process of Medicaid isn't like the government hands you money, then you go pay for healthcare. In a lot of ways, the government allocates money to different outpatient services, different inpatient services. So they actually pay hospitals, they actually pay doctors' offices to fund care. You know what I'm saying? And unfortunately, when you take that money away, a lot of these hospitals who are in rural areas, so a larger majority of the population is going to be in that lower income, maybe unemployed, maybe struggling to find work situation. A lot of these hospitals, a lot of these doctors' office, a lot of these localities of health care are unable to stay open or stay afloat because they don't have enough patients that quote unquote can pay for their own health care through private insurance to keep them afloat. It's a subsidizing system. You know what I'm saying? The whole idea of the Affordable Care Act and higher premiums for healthy people, or getting everybody inside the marketplace, was that the more people you have inside of a healthcare plan, the easier it is to subsidize the people who need to use more and more resources from that healthcare plan. And again, if you're somebody who takes this individual mindset and is listening to what we're talking about and saying, "Well, tough titty, that's their problem." Again, what I would implore you to realize is that we're all a community, first and foremost. But second, even in the individual standpoint, you at some point will be the person on the larger end needing more healthcare. You know, and if it's not you right now, it might be your parents, it might be an older brother, an older sister, an aunt, an uncle. So it's very short sighted what they're doing. This is going to cause real fucking pain for a lot of people, man. And our health topic of this episode, I want to, yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Snap, Wick. Yeah. But no, fuck that. But fuck that. Fuck that. I don't even want to say people who actually need it, because like, at the end of the day, dog, if you even if you're a home if you're even if you're a person, because we look, let's just keep it a band, bro. We all niggas. All right, Javion said, I think we can hear you. Say something, bro. Yeah, we can hear you, nigga. Yo sound doing the same shit that Isaiah shit is doing. So you gonna have to mute when you're not talking, but we can hear you at least. All right. Look, nigga, I'm in this room sweating bricks because I got my AC turned off, nigga. Because I'm trying to make sure the listeners have a good experience. But nah, but no, so what I'm trying to say, Isaiah, is that like I hate the way that we have allowed the unregulated capitalistic system of America to curate the way we talk about these issues. Because again, I'm a nigga. I come from areas where I know that people can sell food stamp cards, people can sell WIC cards, people can do whatever they need to get by. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, it can it's buying food. You know what I'm saying? Like what we're talking about is people figuring out a way to finesse to feed themselves, their children. What are we talking about? It's not like they're going out there and, okay, let's give another conservative talking point. Going and buying heroin, even if they were, my nigga, somebody at some point in time is using that card to buy food. Like that's what we're talking about. We're talking about resources that keep people alive. What we really need to be, whenever people start to bring up that idea that there is individual misuse of these government provided programs to help the working class, we just need to re reiterate we need to move the conversation to where the real leeches of the system are, because it happened in this bill as well, right? This bill gives another $10 trillion of tax cuts to the upper 1% over the next 10 years. The Trump tax cuts that he implemented in 2016, right? 2016? Yeah, they made them permanent. So anytime individuals are talking about people who are eating off the system, look no further than the individuals who don't need anymore continuing to not pay their fair share. And then also, because you have the same individuals in this wealth class, let's talk about Elon Musk, who get government subsidies, which is tax money from that tax pool for their companies that are profitable. This has been happening with oil companies. This has been happening with technology companies, with AI companies. So at the end of the day, we've allowed this current system of capitalism and individualism to bastardize what we think the role of government is. The role of government is to protect people, right? I know in its practice, it hasn't always been that way, but in theory, that's what the government is supposed to do. It's not supposed to coincide and cozy up to special interests and individual interests. It's supposed to look at what are the problems of society and how do we maneuver and organize society in a way to best help most members in that society. White men. Yeah, white men. Yeah. It's black men too, though, bro. But that's the thing, and that's why, like, I guess I'm trying not so much to, because, but don't get me wrong, white nationalism plays a huge role, right? Capitalism uses white nationalism to continue the system of exploitation at the biggest, at the to make exploiting the means of production easier, right? But I guess what I don't want to lose sight of, right, is that if we single-handedly focus on white men who are causing the problem, we, I think, stop people from realizing that in the year 2025, it's not just white men, right? Like there's, oh no, okay. Yeah, 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 no. And again, so right now, I'm not really trying to. Okay, so pause, because there's never a time that you can take race out of it. And I hear what you're saying. For sure, during the election and post-election, we saw these narratives coming out about, yo, why did so many black men not vote for Kamala when we talked about on the podcast? In reality, the real driving force that caused Kamala to lose the election was white women and Hispanic men. But right now, when we're talking about the big bitch ass bill that Trump just instituted and the tax cuts for the upper 1%, what I'm saying is, unfortunately, in my view, you would get the majority of citizens who consider themselves in that upper 1% class, right? Whether they are white men, white women, black women, Hispanic men, whatever the fuck it is, more often than not, while they might speak the good fight, while they might say things they need to say, they're not willing at their own expense to tear down the system so that capitalism can be curbed. Because I'm not even here to say that, like, oh, because I consider myself an aspiring communist. I consider myself an aspiring revolutionary. I don't consider myself to be in that full framework just yet because there's still so much work personally that I still have to do. But with my novel introduction into some of these other philosophies, I do believe it would be simple, okay, simple quotation marks, to get us to a more equitable society, right? One of which is stop giving tax cuts to individuals who don't need it. Trickle down economics has never fucking worked in my 31 years of life. You know what I'm saying? What has always worked has been a robust investment into social systems that benefit the majority of Americans, right? You get more people who are like, again, if you are able to uh, give everybody equitable and affordable healthcare plan through the government, right? Like a public option. What that does for the economy is it takes it gets everybody's health up, right? So now you have a more healthy worker base. You also, now that people don't have to rely on their job to get healthcare, it energizes innovation because people can leave their job and have more freedom to be entrepreneurs or to tackle the actual problems that affect society, right? I'm simply saying when it comes to this big beautiful bill and the wealth class of the bourgeoisie, it really doesn't matter for practical purposes if the nigga is black, white, brown. If you aren't fighting to adequately level the playing field and have the bourgeoisie pay their fair share, you're actively fighting for the forces of white nationalism. You know what I'm saying? So like again, and I say this in all views, and I don't want to harp on black men, but what I do want to harp on is individuals who I think help soften the image of Trump, right? And that goes again to like individuals who have made it to the yeah. Yeah, no, no, I saw them snippets. I saw them snippets. Wait, hold on, let me see if I can find that shit. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, keep going. It's not true at all. Yeah, we don't need to keep it a ban. Like we said it. I mean, I'm the one who does all the fucking podcast things. I don't believe billionaires should exist. For those of you who don't who don't know what the fuck we're talking about, bro, this nigga NBA young boy got out of jail and immediately started a government CIA psyop to destroy the minds of young black men. But mhm. Yeah, yeah, it create. It created a middle class. It created a middle class. The idea that Americans think about this American dream, that was because of the New Deal, bro. We need a robust New Deal. But again, now that we are all aware, I think, because I think more and more Americans are starting to wake up to this idea that there is a rich billionaire class that thinks we're all stupid and has bought our politicians. What are our actionable steps? Are we done? Are we? Do we need to go any more into like the bill? Like, what else did this bill do? Like, I want to make sure we're not missing anything. I think Isaiah, you got it pulled up. Is there anything else? So we got the $10 trillion tax cut, or the trillions of dollars of tax cuts. We got them destroying Medicaid, which will end up destroying rural hospitals, which will also end up impacting Medicaid or Medicare. Oh, shit. Yes, 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 yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's bullshit. They're giving $100 billion. Was it 100 billion or is it 10 billion? Yeah, 100 billion for Trump's Gestapo, his private police. I'm gonna say this right now, okay? Because I know last episode, me and Marcus were harping on actionable steps. I know a lot of you guys were like, Jabari, you're catastrophizing again. What do we do? What are our actionable steps? First and foremost, with this big, beautiful bill topic, our actionable steps are this. Friends don't let friends join ICE. Okay, I've seen a few concerning individuals on social media who are black who are like, hey, they're giving good sign-on bonuses. They're giving good money to ICE agents. So this isn't our fight. So like y'all niggas, you better make sure you get that money. Fuck no. Okay, you want to go work for a slave master, bro? Niggas don't work for ICE, bro. I'm keeping it a band. I'm keeping it all the way a band. I'm ACAB, bro. I don't like when I see black police officers. I'm gonna keep it all the way a band. When I'm in the hospital system and I'm in a city again. I'm in Jersey City, bro, and I see that shit. It pains me, bro, because it's like, dog, like why? Why did you do this? Okay, but all that to say, specifically with ICE, I bet not see a nigga in that uniform, bro. How dare you, Marcus Garvey, rolling in his fucking grave, bro? Okay, but yes, so the Trump administration, yeah, okay, but let's stay on this. Oh, okay, let's stay on this. Hmm, I got you. I got you. Because the way that I want to make people who don't understand the severity of the money they're giving to this private army, because what it is, it's a private army. This $100 billion is a bigger military budget than a lot of countries. It's a bigger military budget than the military budget of Israel, the country that's currently committing a genocide in Gaza. What are we doing? What are we doing, guys? I know I'm not the only one who watched those harrowing videos from Dallas, Texas, or Los Angeles, or downtown Los Angeles. It's about to start happening in New York, but they are militarizing the police. They've been militarizing the police. They're militarizing a private army that they are just hiring whoever the fuck off the streets, right? We already have gotten confirmation that there's been Proud Boys who've been found to be a part of this organization. Proud Boys are, a white nationalist group similar to the Aryan Brotherhood or the Ku Klux Klan. You know, what we have to start calling shit for what it is, bro. This is that white nationalism piece that when you don't know history, and unfortunately for black people, when you don't know your history, you can get deluded into thinking what you're doing isn't that big of a deal. Or if I'm, providing for me and mine, I'm doing the correct thing. And that's just not the case, bro. Right now, we have our cousins, our brown brothers and sisters, and it's not just Hispanic people too. Black people, Africans, they are getting wrapped up in these ICE raids. They're being victimized in the same way America has victimized black people since the inception of this country. ICE going through neighborhoods and picking up Hispanic looking people who are doing quote unquote menial work like yard labor, and saying that's probably an illegal immigrant is new age stop and frisk, which is illegal. Okay. Let them know, Jay. Let them know, man. Yeah, yeah. I heard a concept because again, I think a lot of people who consider themselves to be liberal, maybe not progressive, to consider themselves to be on the right side of history. Maybe their political awakening was the Iraq War. How did this happen? How did this happen so quickly? And I think a good thing to remember is that these things don't happen overnight, right? Everything that our government does abroad, right, eventually does come back home, and they do it on us. It's called the Imperial Boomerang. So a lot of this shit that we're seeing that's gonna start that we're seeing to start to happen with the military or the private Trump Gestapo military terrorizing citizens happened. It happened in Iraq. It happened in Afghanistan. It's currently happening on the in the Gaza Strip, right? Because there are now what is it? Armed U.S. mercenary groups in the Gaza Strip doing atrocities towards other civilian human populations. So again, like the quote of this month, and I came up with it, or I solidified it. The picture I'm gonna post. Even if you don't care about politics, politics cares about you, bro. I am so exhausted, bro. I'm so exhausted of the surface level conversations that we're continuing to have on social media platforms. I'm just praying that what I see is just maybe little outbursts of distractions people need. But again, if you're somebody like me, if you're somebody like Javiante, if you're someone like Isaiah, it's okay to talk politics, bro. It's okay to be at the job and hear somebody say some fucked up shit and confront them on it, right? You don't have to be hostile because, again, we're in a workplace, professionalism, which is just a way to have you acquiesce to white living standards. But either way, it's okay to talk about these topics because these topics, unfortunately, if they're not affecting you personally right now, are going to make it to your doorstep some point or another. That's the thing about fascism. That's the thing about authoritarianism. You can never acquiesce them. You can never make them satisfied. They take, they take, they take, bro. That's why they got to be put the fuck down. But yeah, so not to harp on the big bullshit bill because I think at this point, unfortunately, for the Americans who still don't know, we're gonna have to wait for this to affect them, okay? But again, actionable steps for those of you who are scared, who are really, really concerned about how this is going to affect them. I think first and foremost, all right, Now, more than ever, we need to take an active role in our healthcare, okay? If they are getting rid of Medicaid, if they are trying to remove your access to equitable and efficient healthcare, we really got to understand that there's a holistic piece to it, okay? We need to be exercising. We need to be drinking our water. We need to be taking our vitamins, okay? If you're fucking over 30, I just got this from my homie who's a doctor. We need magnesium. We need collagen. We need vitamin D. These are all things that black people especially lack in at times. But again, titrating down our libations. All right. uh, Protect, properly protecting ourselves when it comes to sexual intercourse. You know what I'm saying? All of these things that we kind of take for granted, brushing our teeth every day, all these things we take for granted, we need to ramp up, bruh. We need to ramp up. Get some green in your fucking diet, okay? Secondly, we don't let friends join ICE. I don't give a fuck how awkward it is. I don't give a fuck how down bad you are, my nigga. We don't join ICE. We just don't do it. It's not a thing. And then third, if you at this point still have a mindset that the people who leech off the system are those that have less than you, not those that have astronomically more than you, more than they'll ever be able to spend their lifetime, reframe your thinking. Do some reading. Fucking, I don't even know how to get you to understand it, but billionaires, multimillionaires that don't pay taxes are the problem. It's not the mother of three who's trying to feed her children with a WIC, food stamp, or SNAP card. It's just not, bro. Because at the end of the day, they cut all of those programs to try and fund their $1 trillion of tax cuts, and they still are going to raise the deficit $3.4 trillion. Okay? So that's that. True. Facts. Facts. We need to stop thinking about how it will feel when we hit that multi-million dollar level. We need to start making sure that if we ever do hit that quote unquote destitute poverty level, that it's not such a hard surface to land on, you know? Do we want to get into something fun or do we need to get to the crazy situation? Oh, yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Donica was so mad she's not here right now because she was literally talking about that because she followed his page and was saying that he was very politically motivated, very politically activated, and an advocate for black and brown people across the world. So rest in peace to that man. And also on that piece, we need to really start caring more about the sanctity of life because I've seen a few nasty fucking things online, right? There was some dude who was like, this is why we need to make sure black people know how to swim, which is true. But there's a time and place. The man was pulled out in a rip current trying to save his and saved his daughter's life, right? His daughter survived and he died. What the fuck are you talking about? Shame on that nigga, bro. Jesus Christ, the fucking uncouthness of you niggas sometimes. So, you say racism. That's all you gotta say. Racism. Look up the documentary, Black Beach, White Beach. That's it. That's how. Racism. And it's cliche to say, But you could really take the majority of the problems in contemporary society and circle it all the way back to either capitalism or white nationalism. That's all it is, bro. It really is. Like, why the fuck can't black people swim? My nigga, it's not because niggas can't swim. I can swim. It's because I learned, because I had a pool that was available to me. You know what I'm saying? It's because I wasn't segregated from an ability to like do that consequence. But beside that ignorance from that cousin, okay, let's also say, should we do it? Should I do it? Should I do it? Should I do a rest and piss to a racist, or should we not take that energy on this podcast? Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. Mhm. That nigga sound like he said nigger. He said nigger. Mm-mm. No problem. um, Donica, you missed it. We just said arrest in peace to Malcolm Jamal Warner, and then now we're doing arrest in piss to Hulk Hogan. Just keeping the energy balanced, okay? But sweet, Donica's here. But yeah, no. So, but where we're at, what? Okay. Let me recombobulate. Let's cleanse the energy. Somebody burn some sage. Um, dog. I can't. We have to get to it. We have to. I can't contain it. We're just gonna go full political for this first hour, bro. The president is a fucking pedophile. Okay, all right. No one else is gonna say it. No one else wants to talk about it. The fucking man. Some of you, not people on this screens, of course, but some maybe somebody listening, have voted for 3 times, victimizes children, and we knew it before you voted for him. But I'm sure everybody here has been following the last week. Okay, right? Shit's getting crazy out here. We have not only new videos, new pictures, but now apparently we have letters, like love letter. Not, I mean, I don't know if it's a love letter, but like, Ayo, big bro, we did it last weekend type shit letters from Donald Trump to Jeffrey Epstein. We have Ghislaine Maxwell saying, "Hey, I have a whole book at home saying that, I have explicit pictures of everybody he's been with that I gave to Jeffrey Epstein on his 50th birthday." The president's a fucking pedophile. Okay, am I wrong for this, guys? I mean, should I throw in allegedly? Am I gonna get sued? Right? It's clear, right? He fucks. Oh, I feel like I'm going insane, bro. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so for the listeners who don't follow politics, again, if you don't fucking care about politics, politics cares about you. I saved a timeline that basically was breaking down the recent events that kind of bookmark how this is not just Honestly, if I had to take a bet, like a bet that I'm pretty sure I would win, but is now turned into a full blown government conspiracy, right? Because it's not just the fact that there's like seems to be an unsurmountable evidence that the president was involved in an illicit child sex trafficking ring, but now we have it on. We know for a fact that they lied about it, that the government lied to the American people that Donald Trump is in this in some way, shape, or form, right? Because even if you want to give the most gracious explanation, right? Donald Trump lied that he was told that he was in the Epstein files this past week, okay? So let's just go through it, all right? So basically, remember in May, they came out, the Trump administration, Pam Bondi, the DOJ saying, hey, we are about to release the files again. Because again, for a lot of you who haven't been paying attention, a few years ago, they actually released a big amount of files that we basically were able to see that this was a huge type of cabal type situation. There was a lot of names that were redacted, but from that, people were able to start to put together that this Jeffrey Epstein shit was not just like a one-man show, right? So basically, the Trump administration, after campaigning, because remember how we were talking about what did Donald Trump say he was going to do, Isaiah? This is one of the things that he campaigned on. He said he was going to release the Epstein files, right? So in May 2025, Trump was privately informed that his name appears multiple times in the Epstein files. At the same time, the DOJ gave binders to MAGA influencers, right? You can go look this up. They fucking walked out. They had these binders saying, we got the files. We're going to expose all this bullshit. Turns out what they were going to expose was not only shit we had already all seen, but it was even further redacted, right? I don't know about y'all, okay? But if my girl accuses me of cheating, all right, and I'm like, bitch, I'm not cheating on you. And she's like, well, I know you are friends with that girl. And I go, and she's seen my phone. She's already been through my phone, right? She already knows I've been texting her. No, I was about to land it. I was about to land it. Okay? Shut up. So, listen. Think about it like this, right? Your girl went through your phone. She already saw the messages. That's us. The government already gave us the phone. We've seen the messages. Now we're accusing the government of cheating. Your girl's accusing you of cheating. So you hand her back the phone and say, nah, look, I never had any fucking communication with her. And the files are gone? The text messages are gone? Does that make you look more or less guilty, guys? I can't hear you. Straight to jail. Straight to fucking jail. Now think about it this way. You did that shit. Okay. Okay. Okay, wait, guys. So let's not get too far ahead. So remember, they did this beginning of like January, February. They came out with the binders, and they go back, and it was the redacted shit that we already seen, right? What happened next, right? Because niggas are like, this isn't great, because it kind of died down for a bit. Remember that? Like nobody was talking about it. So then you get Pam Bondi, who comes out and says, I have the names on my desk, right? She's doing like a Fox News interview saying, I have the names, we're ready to give the list. Comes out a few days later. There is no list. What what are we doing? Why are you telling me shit? And then coming back later and going, you know what? I don't know. Because if anything, you're just terrible at your job, right? I can't go into a patient's room and say, "Hey, bro, we got your blood, we got your lab results, okay, and I'll be back in a few minutes, and then we'll be good to go." And then when I come back in a few minutes, and I go, and you ask me about my lab results, and I say, "What are you talking about? I never had your lab results." You're gonna look at me like, "Is this person insane?" Like, what are you doing, right? So then then the next thing we get is the director of the FBI, Kash Patel. For those of you who don't know who Kash Patel is, he is an individual who, for the last 8 years, has ran a YouTube page that has singly revolved around the Epstein case, right? People are thinking this is the guy who's going to go on it, right? So he's one of the lead voices that was championing a conspiracy to cover up this Epstein shit. He goes on the biggest podcast in the world, the Joe Rogan podcast, and says to Joe Rogan's face, "Do you think if there was Epstein files that I wouldn't put them out?" What? For the life of me, I don't understand why these people keep giving us answers or incorrect answers to questions we're not asking. You know? Like, to me, it seems so prevalent that there's a lie because, my nigga, what we want is lower food prices. What we want is affordable housing. What we want is better health care. What we want is an end to a genocide. And you keep coming to us and saying, but we have this Epstein shit. And then misdirecting us with lies about the Epstein shit. So this is a situation you brought upon us. And then you are lying to me now, telling me that there's nothing going on. All that to culminate in this big Washington Journal or Wall Street Journal piece that came out. And again, I don't really know if this does come out. Like, how do we find people culpable? But again, if I'm running the Wall Street Journal and I have all these resources about a potential president or a president being a pedophile, like, I feel like morally I just need to put that out. You know, I don't really understand the capitalistic piece of that, which is like, no, keep this. This is a great story. Corruption. Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Oh, Brazil is looking up at us like, what the fuck are y'all doing up there, bro? No, no. I just, I just say, sorry. Guys, the only reason why I said Brazil is because Brazil literally. No, I agree. I was just saying Brazil because Brazil literally just banned a politician from running for elections for doing literally the exact same thing Trump did, which was try to influence an election. So, or Whoa, what happened? Yeah, you cut out. You cut out. No, I think he's stupid, bro. Mhm. So, two things. I agree with you, especially with French, with the French, because the French are willing to die for their shit. Even when the revolution don't work, they're like, "Fuck it, nigga, pick up the gun, let's get it." Have you heard of the musical Les Mis, nigga? The young people were like, "Fuck it, bro, they're gonna come. Let's just get out there with the guns." But I digress. I While I do believe that Trump was playing 4D chess in the first term, I think there's been a few different things that have showed he's lost a step. And one of the steps I think he's lost is that while I do agree in his first term he was a more of a puppet being used by the likes of like Mitch McConnell and other deep state actors to get what they needed, whether it was the military industrial complex, whether it was the cabal of health insurance companies that don't want anything of a populist healthcare agenda to get anywhere near becoming law. I think this time around the difference is which is also why you see so many individuals who don't believe ethically what we believe in when it comes to most things politically, but they do believe that like if you're fucking kids, you should like die. You see these people in the Trump base being like, wait, what the fuck is happening? Because it's kind of clear that this time around, Trump is the deep state, right? He's gotten everybody he's wanted appointed, right? That goes down to the fact that he has a Fox News anchor as the Secretary of Defense, right? Everybody in that whole, literally, like everybody from down to the point where he's trying to get rid of the Federal Reserve head Jerome Powell. Everybody right now in head of state government, they're sycophants, right? So that's what makes this so appalling. It's like clearly, my nigga, you're a fucking pedophile because you have all the apparatuses at your disposal to release the files that you said you wanted to release. Why not release them? You know what I'm saying? The only reason why, and not only why not release them, why do you keep lying to the American people about your involvement in them? Because again, I just want to say this. Keep going, just keep going. Let's move past. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Just keep going. He has done. That's all this week's been. He wanted to arrest Obama. Listen, I know. He's a billionaire now. Okay, listen. So, yo, listen. Not to get into conspiracy theories because I totally think it is real. But okay, so I agree with you that. But here's the thing. So, but but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Here's the thing. And this is why I don't want to get off the Epstein shit because while yes, this man's done a lot of crazy things, raping children is crazy. But what I want to say is this: is that I believe, yeah, pedophilia and incest. But what I'm saying is this: I think the Epstein files, and this is where it's kind of tough because we don't have a force in government. And when I say a force, like we have individuals, right? You have the Rashida Tlaibs, you have the Bernie Sanders, you have the individuals who are progressives. We have, oh my God, he just won the Democratic mayoral candidacy primary, um, Zohran Mandami. We have individuals who are in place in different parts of government that believe what we do, but we don't have a force that's actively and earnestly fighting for the ideals that we believe in. Because I do believe right now this Epstein situation, even if you wanted to be as conniving as possible, is like a political slam dunk. You know, you see Ro Khanna doing stuff like that right now. Bless that man for how hard he's fighting to get these shits exposed because I really do think like we could use this list to irrevocably restructure our government for the better. Because the other thing about this list is that it's not just people who are fucking kids, it's people who are facilitating money through fucking kids. They said that there's hundred, like either 100 or like hundreds of people on this list who are in that fucking bourgeoisie class that we are trying to fight against. You know what I'm saying? And what I'm saying is that file needs to be released, not just so that we can get the pedophile president out of office, but so that we can make sure everybody else on that list faces consequences for their actions. And I believe they shouldn't just go to jail. They should also have their wealth garnished, not their wages, their wealth garnished and redistributed back to different services that will benefit society. Like the fact that you had the majority leader of the House of Representatives, or is it the Senate? I think it's the Senate actually. Mike Johnson in Congress early so that they didn't have to vote on a resolution to release the files shows you how insidious this fucking conspiracy goes or how deep this conspiracy goes, bro. From Kash Patel to Pam Bondi, all these people need to face justice for their crimes against humanity. One of the worst crimes that you can do, in my belief, the worst crime you can do, because you're victimizing children, bro. The most innocent of our generation. It's the same way that the ongoing genocide in Gaza and the fucking imperialism in the West Bank is so disgusting because again, I believe that all civilian life is precious, but the majority of humans understand that all adolescent and child civilian life is precious. They're killing babies. So again, the Epstein case, apparently he was supposed to have victimized not just children, but like babies. So it's like, bro, like the list needs to come out, and all of those people need to face the harshest of consequences, in my opinion. And I think if we had a political force, right? A Democratic Party that was not beholden to wealthy donors or wealthy people themselves, this would be an issue that would be this would be the Benghazi of the Democratic Party. Y'all remember that? Y'all remember how they wouldn't shut the fuck up about Benghazi when Hillary Clinton was running for president? This would and then afterwards, this should be the left's Benghazi. This should be the left's what was that shit they did with Obama? The birth certificate. This should be the thing. You know what I'm saying? If you're not gonna fight for anything else, bro, something that all Americans are disgusted by, this should be the thing, bro. But it's not for some reason. Because I think, yeah. But listen, yeah, it should. I don't think it is because it's just not going away, and this is what I mean too. And so the thing too, Jay, is like it's not even the fact that like I believe there's a bunch of Democrats on it, but what I do believe is that there's Democratic donors because there's been a lot of conversation about how they believe Jeffrey Epstein was a Mossad agent, right? He was Mossad. He was an Israeli counterintelligence operative that because he had all of these connections to different people and could put people in compromising positions, it was used by Israeli intelligence to blackmail different parts of our government. What I think though as well is that it might not be what's his name? Hakeem Jeffries. But it might be APAC. You know what I'm saying? And we see how individuals who get APAC money can't do the bare minimum, which is stop sending bombs to a country that's killing children. So of course, if it's release a file of people victimizing children, they're willing to not do that too. So again, I believe we need to get this shit out there because once we have those names, once we have those organizations, we can more effectively get people who just are ignorant to what's going on. Because again, like I know us four here, we're all on the same page. We know that this shit needs to be flipped upside down, destroyed, and reconstructed, right? But there's a lot of people who still believe that the system as it is can get better just as the system as it is. And unfortunately, there's too much swamp, as they like to say. You know what I'm saying? Like this we need a mass exodus of people at the highest heights of power. We need new Nuremberg trials to destroy the wealth of some of the billionaire class that feels so powerful that they can victimize children or that they can get somebody like the Colbert show canceled because they want a merger between Paramount and another fucking company. You know, the richest man in the world is doing that. He owns the fucking sixth largest island of Hawaii. But either way, I digress. I do believe even if we have bigger fish to fry, right? I think politically, this is something that we cannot let go. And we have to get them to release these files. We have to get them to harp on it. And even if they don't release the files, everybody who has been complicit in this cover up, 2026, like again, they're so, and again, Rokan is genius for trying to force a vote for the Congress to vote on releasing this because that's the thing too that's like again I think lost on a lot of Americans, right? Because we have this two-party system. Congress is a separate entity to the presidency and it's supposed to be a separate entity to the judiciary. Congress should not be beholden to the fucking MAGA or Trump. They should be able to see this and go, hey, we are another regulatory body of the government. We can subpoena those files. You know, we don't have to wait for the Trump DOJ to do it. Like we can. We. Sorry. Go ahead. putting them on record to say, yo, okay, because again, Congress has the because so from what I don't know the exact verbiage, but from what I've read and from what I've heard, Congress has the power to subpoena both Ghislaine Maxwell to come in front of Congress and testify. They have the power to subpoena, and when they testify, subpoena records so that they can do their own research, which is again, they said there's a book that Ghislaine Maxwell gave Jeffrey Epstein on his 50th birthday that was supposed to be a compilation of his co-conspirators and his allies over the last year, that the Epstein estate still has. The Epstein estate has said, if you guys subpoena us to bring in this material, we'll gladly give it up. You know what I'm saying? In addition, I'm pretty sure that Congress, if they vote like as a whole, because right now Ro Khanna is on a subcommittee of like 8 different politicians that he just forced to vote to have the larger congressional body force a vote to subpoena the Epstein files. If they get a majority vote, they can do that. Like they don't have to wait on the DO because again, the DOJ, the judiciary, it's just one branch of government, right? Congress has a lot of power. You know, they have the power to impeach the president. You know what I'm saying? So we keep looking at it like these people have their hands tied, but it's because so much political jargon is out there that we don't understand how much power our representatives do have and how much power they refuse to use. So what I'm saying is right now, just like last month I gave actionable steps about how we're supposed to move in the 2026 elections, I think this can be another litmus test for, are you a part of the establishment? Are you a part of the bourgeoisie? And when I say a part, maybe you don't have the same amount of money as them, but you're sucking on their teeth. You're fighting for them. You're not fighting for your constituents. If you vote no on releasing the Epstein files, you're out of office. I don't give a fuck what you've done for us. That's just it. And again, Mike Johnson, and actually I'm going to renege on this because let me just go ahead. Mike Johnson, Speaker of the House, House of Representatives, cool. Yeah, Mike Johnson, to avoid having the House of Representatives vote on this so you could see every fucking representative and who says this and who says that. I mean, and again, this is important because this just happened with giving aid to Israel, and that's why when AOC voted, we're going to keep doing it, she's got shit on the internet for the last thing. Yeah, yeah. Wait, what do you mean? Like get the NAACP to talk about it? So so okay, so I think it's the latter, personally. Um, to answer Jay's question, I think what we're doing here is very important. I don't think we should discount the ability of the individual to advocate to the point to change the mind of his next brother and then so on and so forth. I think this Epstein situation, in large part, is being pushed to where it's being pushed because regular people like us four are continuing to talk about it on social media, on podcasts. You know, what that what that what, but what I'm saying is what that means is you have the president of the United States getting asked questions by reporters saying, "You guys are still talking about this?" Talking to his constituents saying, "Oh my God, you guys are being misled by the far right." Is what I'm saying. It's affecting this nigga. What I'm saying is, unfortunately, um, there is a limited amount of power that the individual does have, and even NGOs have at this point because of the way that the message has been diluted. Again, we had a conversation at the bar about Angela Davis, and off camera, I want to have a further conversation with you about that. But because again, like I really don't know what you're talking about. Because reading her book, bro, I'm like, bro, like she is a prison abolitionist. Like, what do you, what? But either way, all that to say, throughout her entire life, a part of her journey and becoming a revolutionary and being a devout communist and like looking to break down the systems of capitalism that plague our country, she speaks about like different times, like again, like sororities and fraternities and how she's a part of the Che Lumba Communist Club and how they're going out and doing grassroots efforts. And again, you get different pockets of black people who are a part of organizations that, you know, in their inception stand for things, but due to the fact that the constituency, a part of that organization, might not be as focused on the same things, it's hard to coalesce power or coalesce a movement among them. You know what I'm saying? Like, and again, so for example, I would be willing to bet that when you look at organizations like the contemporary NAACP, or you even look at, let's go with our fraternity, Alpha, because I've been when I was in school, I was in a part of some of these discussions. When you got, and I'm gonna keep it a band, I'm just gonna be honest. The first fucking big meeting I was in when niggas were talking, I was dumbfounded by what the fuck they were talking about. And a lot of times it is the internal political struggles of that organization. You know what I'm saying? It's not necessarily like how can we use all of our resources here to benefit the larger community. It's the infighting of the fucking organization. Like, how do we maneuver this, that, or the third, you know? And what I'm saying is, unfortunately, like where I'm at right now is like, I'm not sure that's the best use of my time. You know, I'm trying to advocate. I'm trying to every moment of my life, everywhere I'm at, continue these conversations. You know, I just made a homie out here in fucking New Jersey, and we became homies based off of the fact that not just because we skateboard, but our conversation, literally 5 minutes in, became inherently political. He literally, I didn't say it was fun. Yeah. This podcast. This podcast is supposed to like again over the course of the years of doing this podcast, I've really come to believe that what I'm trying to do, what I'm setting my purpose is to bridge the gap between the bullshit and the healthy, bro. To bridge because I am a prime example of that, dog. Like I'm a prime example that you can have all the fun. do all the debauchery, go out, get drunk with your friends, skateboard, go to music festivals. But then you could also be giving your life to a purpose that is benefiting society, right? I go to work 3 days a week and clean up shit. All right, that's not the only thing I do. But if you were to ask young black men what the fuck I do as a nurse, it's that, right? At the same time, I spend a majority, not a majority, but a large part of my time trying to better my own understanding of the current society we have around us, politically and community wise. And then I talk about that with my friends, and then with also strangers, and then in the general space. And I try, and I see it. I've seen people I've interacted with kind of. I didn't ask that question. That was JB Anthony's question. But what I'm saying is, and I asked who are the revolutionaries. Okay, so yeah, so I hear you, and like that was my question, and that was when I answered the question of who are the current revolutionaries. And one of the reasons why I say that is because again, through reading Angela Davis's book, it was something that I started to really wrap my head around, which is like we've gotten to this space. Okay, and I'm going to go on a tangent real quick. Do you guys remember D. Ray McKinnison, the blue vest nigga? Where's he at? What's he? Is he still- Okay, okay, yeah, and you didn't just Google it. He was a nigga in the Black Lives Matter movement who was arrested protesting, and then he started wearing a blue Patagonia vest, and that became a thing, right? And so what I'm saying is this, right? What did D. Ray do prior? Because I'm ignorant to what his profession was. What was his profession? Was he a lawyer? Was he? Okay, but listen, and here's what I'm saying. Here's what I'm saying. I feel, or at least what I've been noticing, unless you're like a Panther or unless you're a person who has disrupted or you've removed yourself from polite society, right? And you are forging a new way of living. McKinnison, yeah. Wait, hold on, nigga, wait, Isaiah, we know who he is. If you don't know who he is, okay, well, speak a little louder then. Let niggas know. Cool, yeah, okay, cool. Thank you. Mhm. Mhm. And then he took a step back. You said. Okay. I feel you. Okay, cool. Yeah, so the thing, and this is why earlier in the podcast I was saying I consider myself an aspiring activist, an aspiring revolutionary, an aspiring communist. I'm not here to say I have all the answers. I'm not here to say that I know exactly what we should be doing. What I am saying, though, is that from what I'm reading from the people before us, individuals, and again, Angela Davis said this best, we often think that it's these extraordinary individuals throughout history who cause things to be changed. But when in reality, it's just ordinary people who decided to do something, or ordinary people who were thrust in a position to have to do something again. Like Angela Davis, for example, like she didn't strive to be Angela Davis, woman who beat the FBI off the most top, the FBI most wanted list. She just ended up being a woman who was victimized by the California criminal justice system because she was working on the case of the Soledad brothers, and one of the brothers of Jonathan Jackson, the brother of George Jackson, one of the Soledad brothers. For those of you who don't know, Soledad is a prison. So when I say Soledad brothers, it's the story of three black men who were wrongfully incarcerated because they were Black Panthers. They were trying to change the community from within without the help of the government. But all that to say, she was arrested because Jonathan Jackson, in an attempt to free his brother, made a rash decision, went into a courtroom with guns, and then ended up being killed in the process. And then they just said, you had to be a part of it, so we're going to arrest you and then try to throw you under the jail. So it wasn't the fact that like she set out to do these things and then became this story. It was just a situation that happened to her, similar to other martyrs of our cause: Freddie Gray, Philando Castile, George Floyd. I think one of the things that worries me is that right now, when we think of like who wants to take up the mantle, who wants to be this person, the individuals who gravitate towards that, and Angela Davis spoke about this, is individuals who might not necessarily want the role because they want to see or do the most good. It's because they want the notoriety of having the role. And I think, unfortunately, in a lot of these organizations that we are just mentioned, because earlier in the conversation we were talking about how capitalism, unfortunately, in contemporary spaces, does now involve certain black, brown men who have reached that level of wealth, it can get construed where people aren't necessarily doing the work because they want to do the work. They're doing the work because they want the adulation or the notoriety that comes with it. And again, I'm not putting any names. I'm not saying anybody in these positions do that. I'm just simply saying it does kind of seem like, wait, there was a time when it did seem individuals were activists, but they weren't necessarily activists as a trade. They were like, again, like Martin Luther King Jr., like he was a minister. Angela Davis was a UCLA professor who, throughout all of the time she was doing organizing, she was working on her dissertation for her PhD, and was a tenure, or was that was which wasn't tenured, but she was a educating professor at UCLA. I guess what I'm saying is like, what I'm trying to do personally is continue to advocate to my fellow citizens of all races, but especially young black men, that we can be. Mhm. What I would what I guess when I talk about Fred Hampton and the Panthers, what I would say is that it wasn't activism simply in the oratorial sense for those men. It was everything. It was, yo, we are um, creating a self-sustaining community. You know what I'm saying? Similar to like people want to shit on what's his name, the Prince of Pan Africanism. What's his name? Dr. Umar, right? Like niggas shit on Dr. Umar, but what I do like about Dr. Umar is that and again, I hope to fucking God the school comes to fruition. But it's not just activism. It's all my efforts are also supposedly being put into actual creation of a new sort of system for the people I'm advocating for. You know what I'm saying? And that's all I'm saying. Like, personally, I don't know where my role is yet in the movement. Right now, how I have been able to funnel my rage and my frustration is simply in my creative spaces of my podcast. What I put out, everything that I do, when it comes to creativity, has a piece of political sense in it. You know what I'm saying? I might have. Oh yeah, 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 yeah. So basically, what I'm saying is like in what I'm doing, where it's like, okay, yeah. On one hand, I have had the thought of, okay, I need to get back active with Alpha. I need to get into these conversations. I need to be in this room. So maybe I might be the soul brother who be like, hey, yo, bro, I know y'all got a problem with hazing, but like, can we figure out a way to get a group of brothers to pass out leaflets in New York City so that we can get the black community onto Zoran Mamdani? Because he does seem to be a politician who will be out here working for the progressive policies that we need to benefit the black community. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I. So again, I'm speaking personally. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying where I fit into the room, I'm not sure yet if I have the right. I'm not personally. I'm not in the space to do that yet. I don't have the money to rejoin financially and then to be a brother at large or whatever. What I'm saying is where I have been able to funnel my frustration, my anger is in my creative spaces. One of which was this podcast that I do, which does and has garnered a small following of people as I've traveled the country and gotten people who are not as politically motivated to kind of open their minds. Like literally, a courageous young white dude, 19-year-old Steven, if you're listening, shout out to you. Literally, as I was leaving after my 3 months in Florida, was like, yo, bro, like I really appreciate our conversations. You've made me like really understand the power of my own voice and understand that it's okay to have these conversations to be like stubborn in what I believe in, especially when it has to concern it's concerned with the well-being of my fellow man. Like I don't think any of that is lost, and I think to take it all the way back to this Epstein file shit and like how it works. Unfortunately, I do think the majority of the pressure Trump is feeling is coming from the people. It's coming from the fact that podcasts who are audience captured are not letting up on this. It's coming from the fact that he can't, the White House or different departments of government can't post anything without 1,000 people under it commenting, release the files. Like, it's the grassroots movement that is pushing this issue forward, especially because it was unfortunately the grassroots efforts that got this man elected again. That's what I think. I could be wrong. I'm not saying I have all the answers. In fact, I'm saying I don't have all the answers. In fact, I'm saying I'm figuring it out as I go on myself. But actionable steps for the Epstein files: keep calling your local representatives. Tell them, hey, if you don't vote on releasing these files, I'm not voting for you. The same way that we called them and said, hey, if you don't vote for a ceasefire, I'm not voting for you. Not much more, I think, can happen on this specific issue other than that. But those are my two major gripes this past month with the Trump administration. The only other things that I think we need to hit on quick in the political aspect of it is that a few different other scary things are happening. But I mean, this Trump administration is still laying off people. The EPA just came out and said that they are going to downsize their functionality and service people. They're going to like lay off like 1,500 people, and this is going to cause disruption in the ability for us to fight the problems that are currently that our society is currently facing, right? But I also want to say positive things are happening, right? There's ways you can resist if you are in these areas of government and you do have the ability to leave your job. Two-thirds of the lawyers in the DOJ that have been tasked with fighting all the lawsuits that Trump is trying to serve different ways have left their careers that or have left that job, and it's leaving the DOJ kind of strapped for personnel to fight these bullshit cases that they're trying to throw on different organizations. Some other sad stuff that's been happening though, man. The Supreme Court of the United States did rule that the Trump administration can deport undocumented migrants to different countries they're not from. I think that's fucking crazy. Congress did pass the Genius Act that will allow the government to use dollar reserves to back stable coins, so they're legitimizing cryptocurrency. Uh, yeah, man. I mean, again, the only other big thing in the news that I guess I want to really talk about is that we're getting to the point in Palestine where we're reaching the point of no return. Um, People are reaching the fifth stage of starvation due to the fact that Israel is not letting aid in. They've now come to the total. I think the estimate now is that between 377,000 to half a million people have been murdered in Gaza since October 7th, which is it's unconscionable. I don't have words to express the way that my heart goes out for the litany of videos of GoFundMe's that I see scrolling through my Twitter feed because I do repost all that shit. I am even if I can't give, I can witness. I cannot forget. I can make sure that I'm going to advocate for my fellow human being, and I'm also going to make sure that the people who are doing these atrocities are held responsible, man. Um, Shit, bro, and again too, and like I guess the big thing about the Palestine the genocide in Palestine that's really got me pissed off this past month. Did y'all see that? I don't know if y'all know who the Nelk Boys are. They're one of the larger Brosphere podcasts. Did y'all see that they interviewed Netanyahu and it was a puff piece interview? Yeah, well, I mean, even though he's a war criminal, he's allowed to go to other countries and not get arrested and do crazy, crazy amounts of propaganda. But again, so you're listening to this podcast and you don't know who the Nelk Boys are. Good for you. Good for you, okay? They're part of that full send situation where it's like white dudes who do pranks that aren't pranks and just kind of terrorize society. Either way, they've gotten to a point of audienceship where they've been able to have Donald Trump on their podcast. They've had JD Vance on their podcast. They've done a whole host of propaganda for conservative figures that, in my opinion, I think helped get them elected. And it is now culminated to these idiots doing a podcast with Benjamin Netanyahu and not giving him any feedback or any pushback. Benjamin Netanyahu went on there and lied about Hamas groups beheading babies, doing all these crazy shit, or withholding aid from their own population. They just allowed this man to get on the internet to their audience of millions and millions of white, black, brown kids and just lie. Okay? And I guess all I want to say, I had a brilliant tweet about this. I said, the Nelk Boys are the perfect example of the apathetic, non intellectual, and lazy category of American voters that are speed running America towards full blown fascism. But no, for real, I think That entire situation is indicative of why we're at where we're at. The Nelk boys don't believe politics concerns them. They are not educated formally. They refuse to educate themselves informally. And due to the fact that they have ascended themselves to a bourgeoisie class of wealth and fame, they don't do their due diligence to understand that they just interviewed a war criminal, and let's just say we get the future we want and we do have a Nuremberg trial and we can take IDF soldiers and we can take individuals from different governments who have participated and proliferated this genocide and charge them with crimes against humanities. There were reporters who were tried in the Nuremberg trials, reporters who propagandized the Nazis. That's all I'll say. So we'll see, Nelk Boys. We'll see how this ends up. But if you are a person who listens to the Nelk Boys, you are what you eat, man. You are what you consume. So that's that. I don't know. I don't know. Probably. Probably. Yeah. But um you said what? No, I haven't seen it yet. Okay. I did watch Superman. I did Superman. I watched Superman. He killed Netanyahu. That was based. Free Palestine. Death, death, death to the IDF. Death, death, death to the IDF. But do y'all want to get into some lighter news? Oh shit, bro. There's so much crazy shit that's been happening in the world, dog. Y'all care about Conor McGregor sending unsolicited pics to Azalea Banks? Did y'all see that shit? Okay, okay. Did y'all care about He's running for president of Ireland. He's running for the president of Ireland. Yeah. What about what about what about Liver what about Liver King having a psychotic episode and flying to Texas? You don't remember? Wait, Jay Beyonce, Isaiah, y'all know who Liver King is, right? Whoa. Whoa. I did not know you felt so strongly about this, Isaiah. Okay, never mind, never mind. Uh, okay. But I think though, like what I do want what I do want to say though about those situations, and that kind of also ties into the Nelkboy situations, is that we really have a problem with this new age of influencers, right? This new age of individuals who are trying to carve out a living through social media content and not necessarily doing their best to make sure the content they're shilling isn't negative for their audiences, like in perpetuity. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like we've reached this point where all social, not all, but a majority of like what social media influence is just get to a point where you have enough audience that you can shill products. It's just new age commercials. It's just new age celebrities. Or wait, what did Kanye West say? You know, it's just new age Lady Gaga selling you Kodak cameras. You know what I'm saying? What the fuck does Lady Gaga know about Kodak cameras? So that's all I want to say. Be conscientious of what you're ingesting. Be aware that this person that you are developing a parasocial relationship with might not and probably doesn't give a fuck about you or how the products that you ingest or take based off of what they're selling affects your health. Okay. But how about this? How about this? Cardi B announced she's going to be dropping her second album finally. Any thoughts on that? Where's Donica? She wanted to talk about this shit. Where's Donica? Nobody gives a fuck about Cardi B. No, but you said you did want to talk about it. But I'm trying to get us into some bullshit because we spent the first hour really catastrophizing a little bit. I gotta use the restroom. Y'all better not leave my podcast with no dead air. I'll be right back. Oh, she's so pretty. Uh, y'all don't think she's gonna be introspective on this album? Do you? Yeah. I mean, oh, you talking about Offset? I mean, a lot. Hey, are we on the T app, Donica? I heard a girl was on there. She was like, I just think, it's so wrong that we have this app where, like, we are coordinating attacks on, like, the opposite sex. And just, I was like, damn. And, like, all the fucking quote tweets are like, wow, she's so men centered. Wow, she's da 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 da. It's so fucking hilarious. But, nah, man, I think, Cardi should just drop the album at this point. The longer she holds on to it, the more expectations they're gonna have. Um, but I think she's primed, bro. Like, yeah, I didn't hear that. Y'all don't have an expectation for it? You know, he just wants to pop his fucking pussy. um, then she'll give you a snake. Is Lotto in the conversation? When was- I haven't heard a lot about. I haven't heard a lot about Lotto this year. I know she had that song with Playboy Cardi, but other than that, I feel like it's been quiet for her. And that's saying something. Is that a tour? Being in Dubai's on tour. I thought maybe it's just go to Blue because that's just where they go. Roddy Rich was in Dubai. I know. That's what I'm saying. Who's y'all's big three for female hip hop right now? Who's running the game right now? What do y'all think? We're considering the same thing right now. Glorilla's in third. That's mine. To be honest, I think it would be Dochi, Glorilla, and then Meg. And I'm just going off of I actually let me not say like because I'm going off of basically like hot like who's running female hip hop right now. Those are my three because again Nicki Minaj is having her outbursts against Jay Z. Uh, Lotto, in my opinion, has just been I don't know she's just been quiet. Like the last thing this is gonna sound crazy. It's gonna make me sound like a misogynist. And I swear. I'm trying not to be. Last thing I saw about Lotto on Twitter, she was like twerking somewhere. Like, I don't know. Like, she hasn't been putting out music the way that her contemporaries are putting out music. Is she? Mm. The City Girls haven't been the same since Diddy went to jail. ain't never been shot in the foot by the three nigga. My shit was disrespectful. Go ahead, Isaiah. Jenny 69. There's a lot of female Hispanic rappers on the West Coast. It's just West Coast music. Again, West Coast music is so dominated by gang culture because it's so regional that it's hard to break out if you don't have like affiliation in some way, shape, or form. Like a lot of West Coast music, whether it's from the Bay or LA, has some type of gang influence in it, in my opinion. That makes it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying there's not a plethora of niggas rapping, but like to get play on the radio in LA, like you have to be in some way, shape, or form in the streets, in my opinion. And you see that with the female hip hop artists too. So I think that's why you don't get a lot of like female artists from the West Coast that blow up to like a Doechii or a Megan Thee Stallion level because it's not as marketable. Unfortunately, there is this sexism piece I feel that like to blow up as a female artist since the days of Nicki Minaj, who kind of like stamped that female artists can stand next to male artists in respect levels. Again, I'm not gonna say like there hasn't been artists before her. I'm not. No disrespect to Eve, no disrespect to Lil Kim, all those women, Foxy Brown, whatever you want to say, but like Nicki Minaj, in my opinion, was the quintessential female hip hop artist who was like, nah, like I'm not like a female hip hop artist, my nigga. Like I'm Nicki Minaj. Like I got niggas rapping my bars. We're all rapping monster in the fucking club type shit. Hmm. Hmm. You mean Nicki's like that person for our generation? Yeah, you had said Kim though, so I was just making sure. Yeah. Uh, you you met Nicki and then you said Doechii. I get what you're saying. Nicki was for our generation. Doechii for their generation. Our generation. Got it. Yes. Okay. Hmm. Hmm. So what I think, and this guy goes with what the both of you guys are saying, is like I think definitely like Doechii and Glorilla are hotter than Meg right now, and I think that is in large part to the fact that Meg The Stallion, in my estimation, has only really had two songs that like were catchy to the point that they were universally loved by everybody. Right? It was the fuck I'm a Savage, Classy, Boobity, Badges, got a Beyonce remix, all that shit. Um, but Doechii and Glorilla have both unfortunately been shown to be like hit makers type shit. Like before we even okay, pause, not we, but before mainstream audiences knew Doechii for Doechii, she already had like multiple TikTok famous songs that people were just fucking playing. So you could say maybe she was just using the game of sampling or whatever that helped her out with that, but it's undeniable that she had like hits that people. Well, hold on. Please, what's this corny as fuck? I hear you, but let me. Look, Will Smith is fucking crazy and cringe as fuck. But no, that I don't want to get. What I want to say is, we would leave Will alone if he left us alone. Why is he continuing to go on fucking podcasts and rap? Leave her. The fuck? I got no problem with that, bro. Did y'all see? Did y'all clean up? They've both. Okay, either way, no, stop. You got to be distracted. You're distracted. Glorilla had again a Glorilla just came off of a run that like when she wasn't like when Doechii won the Grammy, niggas were like, "Are we not about to sit here and not be like we were all going the last 6 months?" You know what I'm saying? Like Glorilla just had like four back to back hits. So I think one of the things is Meg The Stallion, while she might be like in somebody's opinion a better rapper, she's not a better hit maker. And then secondly, when it comes to the part of her like media presence overshadowing her music career, I think a large part of what's stopping Meg from getting to that next level is the misogyny in hip hop. Because that whole Tory Lane shit happened, there's a large contingent of hip hop listeners who are just fucking misogynists who like will never let her move on from that situation even though it had nothing to do with her. She was a victim. So unfortunately, yeah, bro, she's stuck in this weird spot that I don't know if she'll ever, unless she just makes undeniable music, she'll never escape from that shadow because Tory Lanez unfortunately won't let her escape from it. And because Tory Lanez won't let her escape from it, shitty ass niggas on the internet won't ever let her. You know what I'm saying? And then on top of it, it's not just like, and it'd be one thing if it was just shitty dudes on the internet or shitty women on the internet and Tory Lanez, but it's also her contemporaries, right? We talk about the Megan's Law song. What did the biggest fucking person in female hip hop do when it was time to beef? Hit all the low blows with her being a victim of gun violence. So yeah, she's just kind of in a weird spot. But again, she won. Megan Thee Stallion. Oof. Yeah. 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 I think again there is just that sexism and racism piece where we just hate to see dark skinned black women just be free, date men, have live their life. Yeah, like I think she just infuriates a lot of men to the point where like niggas just don't want to let her live. Because I'm gonna keep it a band. I don't give a fuck she dates Klay Thompson. I don't give a fuck that she had the La Boo Boo video. Yeah, yeah. He's a part. The video that I liked was like someone was like, "Oh, look at me! I'm Klay Thompson. I'm 6'5". I have a world class NBA championship career, and now I get to date the most beautiful, one of the most beautiful black women in the world. Oh, woe is me! Like I think that's what it is. I think niggas like are jealous of that nigga, bro. Yeah, bro. Yeah, bro. Yeah. No, listen, listen. Twitter, Twitter Twitter right now is insane. You post anything, you go under them fucking mentions, and it's just real live like Nazi hate farms. I'll be reading some of this shit and be like, and I have to like double like I have to like wait, click on the profile. This is not a real person. Holy shit, because that shit gets crazy sometimes. But how about this? Is anybody checking for Iceman when that comes out? What do y'all think? Because Drake just dropped another like hour long live stream where it's Drake's new album. It's gonna be Iceman. You know, he's been doing like these hour long live streams and he's been releasing songs. He did one this past week, but like he did one like a few weeks ago, and that's when he dropped that song "What Did I Miss," which I liked. I liked it. Let's go. I'm in the gym. Let's go. You know what I'm saying? I think so. Yeah. But no, he like dropped an hour long stream where he's like being chased through the city of Toronto by Pinocchio. Yeah, no, like it seems like Drake's trying to be a little bit more artistic, I guess. I don't know. Huh? Dun, 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 dun. Dun, 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 dun. Yo, dog, dog. I was in the ER. I was in the ER the other day, and I had a patient, and I kept hearing, I heard "Not Like Us" come from the fucking like the room, and I was like, "What's going on there?" Then I heard the rest of the GNX album, and I'm like, "Are they just having?" And I walk in and like and they're like, "Oh, I just like this artist," and they were like watching the Super Bowl performance. I was like, "I'd be pissed too if I was Drake, bro," because that shit was hilarious. Bro, did y'all see LeBron James? Did y'all see LeBron James partying in the Maldives and like listening to Not Like Us? It was the first time he heard the song ever. Yeah. Okay, let's be honest. Be honest. Let's all. What would you? How would? Okay, so is it wrong for Drake to feel betrayed by LeBron? Okay. What's the more cringy breakup? Elon Musk and Donald Trump or Drake and LeBron James? my god, that's hilarious. Oh my god, such a good joke. Oh, right, right. LeBron, you deserve to cheat on your wife. Savannah has done what? Mm, okay, listen, I love currency too, all right? But currency has never and will never, unfortunately, be at the same fame level as a Drake or LeBron James. Simply because, oh, no, yeah, but what I'm saying is for you to get to that arc, currency was never gonna get there because he's just not as marketable of like again. I'm sorry, bro. Like he just look. Have you seen currency? Like, am I being wrong? Am I being mean, bro? Like, right, right. It should it should be what? No, it's not. Andre's not on weird shit. The best example is Jalen Hurts. The best example is Jalen Hurts. The best example is Steph Curry. Individuals who what? Jalen Hurts is the after winning the Super Bowl and okay, all right, true, yeah, word, okay. Denzel Washington, Denzel Washington. How about that? Denzel. Wait, what? Yeah, that's just sports, nigga. Like, but no, that's different. But listen, in a communist society, you wouldn't change that. It wouldn't be football players all get paid, or football players get paid the same as like a doctor. It's just the means of production is different. You know what I'm saying? Like it's like the football players would probably just get an equal share of the fucking revenue that the NFL makes, which actually is so interesting. Did you guys see that landmark case that just happened? That where college athletes, both present and past, are now going to get paid for their contributions to like the funds they raised for their campus. Yeah, they should. And then you see how Trump was like trying to like remove that. That's bullshit. That's capitalism. That's exploiting the fucking players who are fucking getting TBIs and fucking concussions and saying, "We'll take that. We'll take that. Thank you, Mandingo. Thank you." That's my problem with sports. It's not necessarily that niggas do it or they may get paid absurd wealth for it. It's the fact A that like they're not getting paid properly for what they're fucking doing. I think if you're a rookie and you get into the season and you start making money and you fucking end up like that LSU player who like fucking had a brain tumor and then like he was being basically there was an LSU player who was projected to like go to the league, ended up having a brain tumor and now can't even like form complete sentences without like having a speech impediment, but because he never made any money during his fucking LSU career, like what is he gonna do? You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. My gripe isn't necessarily with the fact that niggas make absurd amounts of money. My gripe is that the fact that the niggas who make absurd amount of money aren't so rooted in their culture that they use that money for anything positive. You know, I mean, I wish all black football players would try to copy the lifestyle of Sadio Mane, the Senegalese football player who makes millions upon millions of dollars and has used the majority of his money to reinvigorate his community of Senegal. He's built a bank, hospitals, roads, and then he gives like 50, like the equivalent of $50, like I think a week or a month to every citizen in his community in Senegal. Like that's what I wish, but that's an individual choice. You know what I'm saying? I can't force a person to like care about their community. Unfortunately, you know. I agree. I'm on LeBron James. LeBron James is. But like what you're talking about is a nuanced topic, and I agree with you, Monica. I agree with you. Like there should be a taxation policy so that like it's extremely hard to become a billionaire. I'm not saying when I say billionaires shouldn't exist, it's not saying okay we just stop people from becoming billionaires. I'm not fully on board with Sam Cedar's policy. But what I'm saying is we should make it a lot fucking harder to become a billionaire. And if you do, man, and again, I'm less mad at LeBron James, who's a wage billionaire, right? He got paid a certain amount of money because he was able to do a skill to an ability versus like a Elon Musk or a Donald Trump billionaire who has been gifted a certain amount of money through inheritance and then through the fact that we're an asset economy is just destined to become one of the richest people in the world. Like that's two different conversations, and I don't think the conversation is mutually exclusive, right? But that's just my opinion. That's all I'm saying. Like I think if we had it so that college was again like before Ronald Reagan came into the fucking play and college was free for I know at the time it was white Americans, but if we still held that same understanding that like college should be free, I don't give a fuck what the football player is getting paid. I'm able to get an education and we're all getting taxed the way we need to be taxed. So my life can be whatever. I'm not going to look at the nigga who, because he has a God given skill and now he makes a little bit more money than me. I don't care. My needs are met. Like, I don't like, because my needs are met, I don't genuinely, because my needs are met and I've been able to do cool shit. I don't look at celebrities or anybody else like I want that life. That's not what I try to aspire to do, you know? And again, I think that's the idea of like freedom that I think America strives or in theory strives to allow. But that's just my 2 cents on that. But we are at 2 hours and 22 minutes, and I can only pay Buddy so much money to do these episodes. So I think we should get out of here on that. Let's get into our health topic of the week, okay? And we're gonna bring it back to some real shit here, and that has to do with the big bullshit bill Trump just passed and closing or and cutting Medicaid, which is projected to have 700 rural hospitals close. I just want us to talk about from a provider, from a worker standpoint, how this is going to affect communities, okay? Because I think what's lost, because I've been talking to my coworkers about this and I've been kind of illuminating some of them about how this is going to change our job. I basically was speaking about this on my Instagram the other day, but I've now worked in ERs across the country, like West Coast, where they have good staffing ratios, where they have good patient to nurse ratios, to the middle of America, which they just have terrible staffing problems, to the East Coast, where the staffing might be a little bit better, but they don't have staffing policies. So I'm up here in New Jersey, and I have literally last night was in a pod that had 16 patients at one point for two nurses, and they weren't fast track patients. They were sick and they were mental health. Okay? We are at a point in society where our healthcare system has already collapsed. We just are managing because the people who work in healthcare are fucking badass, bro. We're just doing it because we have to. What else are you gonna do? When a nerd when at least in the ER, I'm speaking for the ER, when we come in the shift and they tell us there's been four call outs, you know what they say? We're gonna get through this together because this is what we signed up to do. You know? That's where we're at. The system has already collapsed. So now that it's already collapsed and it's going to go further, I'm scared because I don't know what happens. What does healthcare look like when you close rural hospitals? What does it look like? No, die. Yeah, in the interim, no. Like what you're saying, I think is what's gonna we're gonna be looking at maybe 5, 10 years in the future. In the interim, people are gonna die because unfortunately, no house call is gonna save you from a stroke. It's like we know this. It's time is brain. When you close rural hospitals, so when you have a hospital that's 30 minutes away from you, and they close it, and then the only hospital that's within vicinity is now an hour away. That literally will interrupt so many disease processes. We can only give TPA within 4 hours of your last known well. We can only give TNK within the last 4 hours. You know what I'm saying? The longer you are, the further you're away from a hospital, an emergency room, from somewhere with a higher level of care, you have worse and worse outcomes. That's just a fact. So this is going to, and unfortunately, this is going to impact our communities more than it is certain communities, and it fucking infuriates me. But to go even further, I had this thought the other day, and let me and hear me out. See if you pick it up what I'm picking up. I'm worried that they're not going to stop just at cutting Medicaid. I think they're going to come for Intala. I think what's going to happen is we're going to see a surge in patient population at certain hospitals because they close smaller ones, right? So we're going to see like how we did with COVID after we opened everything back up and we saw people who had stayed away from the healthcare system having coming back in large numbers and all these crazy situations. You saw it during COVID in New York where you had like people having to be put in hallways to do fucking and be put on like certain cardiac drips and all that shit. I think we're going to see that. But because of that, the people in power, instead of trying to undo their mistakes and fix the root of the issue, they're going to try and put a band aid over a gaping wound by saying, well, we're taking care of people who can't pay for healthcare anyways. Why are we doing that? The people who can pay aren't getting what they need. And that's going to cause, and they're going to go, well, what's stopping us from just throwing the people who can't pay out? EMTALA. Well, get rid of that. Because EMTALA laws are the only thing that stops us from being the healthcare of 80 years ago, where you did have hospitals pushing people on fucking, what do you call it, gurneys out into the street because they couldn't pay. You know what I'm saying? dystopian. It's just dystopian. And you know why they could do it in a SpongeBob episode? Because it happened in real life in America. That's what I'm saying. So basically, what I'm saying is this: my prediction is hospitals are going to close. Big city hospitals are going to become overstressed. If we still have the current crop of government officials in office, they are not going to fix the root of the problem. They're going to exacerbate it by removing more people's access to health care. Okay? That's what my prediction is. How do we prevent it? Okay? So now we're out of the health topic and we're into a new topic, actionable steps. Okay? I know you guys are scared. I know you guys are a little bit catastrophized now from our last 2 hours of talking about what's going on in this country. And I think first and foremost, a voteless people is a hopeless people. We need to be politically activated, especially young black men, young Hispanic men, young people who rightfully so feel like, yo, politics has never given a shit about them, at least in the correct ways. I'm here to tell you, you need to vote because we can change the system. We're seeing that. We're seeing courageous individuals in New York, courageous individuals in Minnesota who are coming out and saying, bro, we deserve a Democratic Party that is fighting for the working class. Okay. So, again, last month I gave actionable steps about how we're supposed to be voting this year. And here's how it goes. First and foremost, we are never, ever voting for a Republican candidate ever again. The Republican Party needs to die. It needs to go away. Simple as that. Number two, when we're looking at our options on the Democratic side, how are we voting? First and foremost, if you have a candidate who is not taking super PAC money, we're immediately looking at that candidate. If it's between a candidate with super PAC money and not super PAC money, it's voting for the candidate without super PAC money. And I'm saying that honestly, even if you think the super PAC candidate is giving you more lip service to what you care about. Because you know what? It is much easier to argue with somebody who is genuinely speaking what they believe versus somebody who is getting $1.7 million from an Israeli lobbying group to tell you, hey, we'll get a ceasefire. Sure you will, bud. Sure you will. Now, here's the third rule for voting. Do you think a person, or do you not have anybody on the Democratic side that isn't super PAC funded? Okay. What are they being funded by? Number one, if they have APAC funding, we aren't fucking voting for them. Because if they got APAC funding, they're not going to give us the Epstein files. They're not going to stop killing children in Gaza. And they're not going to stop sending munitions to Israel so that they can stop fucking bombing Iran, Yemen, and every other fucking Middle East or Muslim country in the vicinity, okay? So there. Actionable steps on how we're going to get our government changed. Second actionable step. Because healthcare is looking like it's going to be a very scary situation, we need to reinforce some of the non-modifiable risk factors we got. My niggas, you need to eat a vegetable, okay? We got to start getting our diets better. We need to start cooking. We need to stop eating out as much, okay? Them fried foods is going to go straight to your fucking arteries, my nigga. Brush your fucking teeth. You might not be able to see a dentist, but if you can brush your teeth every twice a day, use floss and mouthwash, I promise you, you won't have a cavity. I promise you. Well, hold on. I hear you, brother. I hear you. One step at a time. I'd rather you fucking stuff your face with PB&J sandwiches versus you stuff your face with Asian Zing wings from Buffalo Wild Wings every day. I'm just being honest. That was my next piece. That was my next piece. That was my next piece. So yes, I hear you. I don't want to get into the details or the weeds right now. So yes, Isaiah is correct. If you're overeating, eat less. Exercise. Basically, what I'm saying is my Yes, okay, but second actionable step, we have to take a more involved role in our own healthcare decisions, okay? The government is trying to tell you vaccines are fucking stupid. The government is trying to take away your healthcare, and the government is trying to poison you with food. We must take a more active role in our own healthcare, all right? That, but personally, for me, personally, Or or you could follow Bullshit for Your Health Instagram page and I'm giving go watch go list go watch yeah, but my advice is fucking free. Wash your fucking hands. Wash your fucking hands. I'm I'm not trying I'm actually being very fucking serious right now though, but like the two actionable items from this episode that I really want you guys to understand is that we're voting and we're voting with education, then we're secondly taking a more active role in our own health. That's it. That's what I want to leave you guys with. That's our health topic for the week. That's our actionable steps. So, content of the week, let's get it. For me personally, I have Swag by Justin Bieber. Personally, I really enjoyed the album. I think it's Justin's uh, first venture into creating an R&B album that actually like is a R&B pop album. I think it's kind of indicative of how insidious this whole influencer social media culture is because up to this release of this album, if you've been listening to what the news was saying about Justin Bieber, is that he was spiraling, is that he was not necessarily all there, that he was going to be divorcing from his wife, and lo and behold, he put out a brilliant project that I think negates all of those criticisms. But that's my content of the week. Do you guys have any content of the week? Okay. Good album. All right, y'all got any content of the week? It doesn't have to be music. It can be anything. Okay. It's not Travis Scott's album. It's Jack Boys too. It's like all of them. Don Tolliver, Sheck West. The Tyler's new album was cool. I just didn't feel like I wanted to dance to every song. And this nigga wants me to dance to every song. So I'm like, yo, relax, bro. Tyler the Creator. I'm listening to- it was like he did a $10 concert in Brooklyn, and then he did a $5 concert in LA, and he was like, "Don't come if you're not gonna dance." And it was like, well, there's more. Ooh, didn't even- no, I was making a joke. If y'all didn't catch it. No. Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. I thought a show. Yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, no. I mean, it happened. It's dude. That's the biggest superhero movie of the year so far. 'Cause I gotta see Fantastic Four still. Killed Netanyahu in the movie. Like that's crazy, bro. And again, I'm telling you, I know you guys haven't seen it, but like it wasn't on the nose. Like the villain of the superhero movie is a dictator type figure of a state in the Middle East that is causing a genocide on another state, and Superman goes and stops it, and literally Lois Lane is like interviewing him about like about all the geopolitical things about it, and he goes, people were dying, like literally, and then at the end of the movie, Hawk Girl kills the leader of that state. Like it is not on the nose. So yeah, I agree with you. Art often imitates life, and vice versa. But all right, guys, that is episode. Wait, don't tell us. This is content of the week for the listeners. It's okay. We'll talk about it in a second. That is our episode. Episode 125 of Bullshit for Your Health, the most balanced podcast in the world. I love you guys. Keep your heads up. Do your actionable steps. We'll be back next month. All right, y'all. Peace.